In the beginning, the universe was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move.
I'm Steve Benson. That's Paul Schultz. This is the Don't Panic Radio Show. Nothing you are about to hear is true. I've been waiting 4 years to say that.
Oh, man.
So we have been talking around it. We've been talking over it, under it for a few months now. And I think we both got the sense that we wanted to return the Don't Panic Radio Show for various reasons.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the other stuff's going away. That means that they will become segments of Don't Panic Radio Show.
Yeah, all the stuff that you've heard on and watched on Better Off Dad, the different segments that we did on there and that kind of stuff, the stuff like that will resurface.
And to prove it to you, I have a Better Off Dad story I'm going to tell. And then, so that, Better Off Dad segment. And we're going to do a movie review. Paul saw Godzilla Minus One.
That's right.
And he's going to review it. But we're also going to watch the trailer and react to that. That's the other difference is we're bringing in video. We're going to experiment with video for the show. But you can still listen to it in your podcast feed. It still should make sense. But there'll be a YouTube version as well.
Yeah, if it doesn't make sense, I'll make it make sense for you people still out there listening to the podcast.
Make it make sense. And the third and final difference, wait, how many differences are we up to? At least half a dozen.
Lot.
It's dark out right now, and we're drinking.
That's right. Apple juice, YouTube. We're drinking apple juice.
I bought Bullet apple juice just for this.
I have Jameson's apple juice tonight. It's the only stuff at the drugstore that was in a small enough bottle, so I didn't feel like getting a huge bottle of it.
Apple juice kisses makes me roll my hips. I don't know if you knew that about me.
Change the channel, Marge.
I drove one of the kids to an appointment, and it was in the middle of, if anybody's from this area, they'll recognize the Villages of West Clay. Like, you'll know what that is. And I remember driving through one of these neighborhoods 10 years ago or so, maybe more. Actually, it would have been more than 10 years. But anyway, when they were first starting to build these things. And the concept was interesting because they said, we're going to build these neighborhoods, but we're also going to build businesses in the neighborhoods, like a bar, convenience store, stuff like that. So it's in the suburbs of Carmel, Indiana. But one of the hard things about the suburbs is, you got your little subdivision, and then you always have to get in your car and drive 10 minutes to get to anything. So they decided we're going to build
geographical oddity.
They had these concepts that they would build housing in a subdivision for rich white people, and then they would have little shops and stuff, right? At the time, I thought, oh, what a good idea. That would be kind of a nice place to live, So this appointment was in one of those, and in one of the businesses that's in the subdivision and it absolutely messed with my head. And so I drive into this thing, and as you drive into it, every house has a front porch, and some of them have the wraparound front porch. People got rocking chairs on their front porches, and that kind of thing. And then you kind of drive through, and then you come to what looks like a town square. There's like a park in the middle, and then there's buildings around the park. And these buildings, the architecture style is like what you would see in any town USA, right?
That sounds all very nice and white to me.
Very. I walked around the thing a little bit, and I started to get a little bit sick to my stomach, and I couldn't figure out why. And then it occurred to me that it's either a liminal space, or my kid pointed out, probably more uncanny valley. And if y'all know what uncanny valley is, I think we've talked about it on one of our shows. Uncanny valley applies. Probably the best example is when somebody animates a human face or a human
Mhm.
body or a human something, and
Mhm.
it
Human
is
something.
so similar to human that it doesn't look like a cartoon or like a drawing, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not similar enough to a human that you actually feel like it's a human, so it looks really creepy. Sort
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
what was that movie that was out recently with the Megan, uh
Oh yeah. Yeah.
with the robot kid, right?
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah.
of had some uncanny valley going, right? So this
Mhm.
little village of West Clay, this little subdivision with these businesses and stuff, gave me
Mhm.
uncanny valley. And
Mhm.
as if uncanny valley is now a condition you could get. So I caught
I was gonna
uncanny
say
valley from this thing.
they also make a really good ranch dressing too, but
That's true. That's true. Wasn't that Paul Newman? No, it's a
yeah.
competitor of Paul Newman's Uncanny Valley dressing.
Yes.
It tastes almost, but not entirely unlike ranch dressing.
So it's like that scene. It's a neighborhood from that scene in Wrinkle in Time, where everybody comes out on the lawn at the same time, gets the mail,
Mm,
goes back in at the same time. The entire planet's like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a little creepy and a
Hmm.
little disappointing because part of me was like the first thing that I thought was we have areas already like this that are already built and already exist. All you need to
Yeah.
do is move into those neighborhoods. And then I was like,
Right.
oh, these people aren't moving into those neighborhoods.
I think the kids call that gentrification. Even maybe I don't know. I know
it
gentrification is typically where you go in and you whitewash a neighborhood, but it's kind of the same gross out factor.
it's part of the reason I will never again listen or believe to somebody who says the reason we can't fix our problems is budget and because we can't afford to fix our problems. The money exists. The money exists, right? It's just
Yeah.
being spent elsewhere. They're building these
Yep.
Disney type subdivisions. And then I thought, well, this isn't the only one of these.
Hmm.
This is
Yeah.
any mid-tier Indianapolis type city. In fact, all the
Yeah.
big ones, all the suburbs across the country, I guarantee this is a style of subdivision that's being built. And it's basically we're
Yeah.
building the small towns that got gutted by the billionaires um,
Hmm.
and by car culture. We're rebuilding those downtowns. And by the way, lest you feel too disappointed, half of the businesses were empty.
Oh.
So you've got this like town
Yes.
square looking thing, and you've got like
Uh-huh.
Julie's sweet shop, and there's a bar over here, and then over here is it's a law office and a stockbroker office and a psychiatrist's office and empty, empty, empty. It's like this is not
So
a
it's like
sustainable model because these
no.
rich white assholes are still getting in their car and driving to Target or Macy's or wherever. They're not going shopping at the local whatever across from
Yeah.
the
Well, not
fake
only
park.
that, but not only that, but what's rent for that sweet shop?
Mm,
You know.
yeah, probably a lot.
So right now, basically, it just looks like one of those like police training shooting ranges. Where like you'd walk out and like the
Yes.
mom with the baby would pop up and
It's like Cop City or
yeah.
that town they built for the nuclear testing, for the atom
Oh,
bomb testing.
yes,
That what's his name got caught in.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones survived a nuclear blast by getting in a refrigerator.
An American built refrigerator.
That's right. Because, 1,000,000 degrees in temperature can't penetrate an American built refrigerator.
That's right.
That's for sure.
Keeps the
Okay,
cold
that
in and the
was
heat out.
okay. There's an example of what you can expect. If you hated that segment, you're probably not going to like episode or season X episode, next episodes of season X of the Don't Panic Radio Show. That having been said, I believe you have a movie review that you've been thinking about.
Hmm.
I know what did it. Well, clearly that boat's not floating. Oh, look at that big fish underneath there.
Why
I
would
just
we be jumping into the water?
I just saw the Meg. No, the Meg. Did you see
I was gonna say.
with Jathan Statham? Jathan
Oh, you
what's
did?
it? Yeah.
The first one?
Oh, there's more than one.
Oh, the Meg 2's out now. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I got to go back and watch that now. But okay, so I'm just trying to. If this is a battleship, look at the size of that thing
Yeah.
underneath there. Holy moly! Godzilla getting bigger over the years. Holy crap! What town is that? That's not good. I like that he called it an unknown organism.
Mhm.
Like calling Godzilla an organism is like, it's like calling I don't know. It's like calling a supercomputer a calculator.
That's something I want to see.
What? Like that's his knee.
Yeah, that's he's that's one of his just one knee. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, Godzilla, like over the year, like he started out like about the same size as King Kong, and now he's like
Yeah,
the size of 8 skyscrapers.
He's had his ups and downs in size.
Oh, there's his belly right there, right? His knee, his belly. He's wearing like a Speedo.
He's got the V, the Godzilla V.
Yeah. He's angry. Like, yeah, that'll work. I love this. Reminded me when I watched this earlier, those tanks right there. I
Yeah.
love how no matter what era we're in, the thing that they try to fight it with is whatever the most advanced weaponry of the time is. Like these tanks
Mhm.
here.
Yeah.
Like War of the Worlds, the original, it's like they're firing those Napoleon cannons at the aliens.
with a couple of ironclads.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And like now, and they usually, and you saw the movie, you'll tell me if I'm right, maybe, but usually they have a little bit of effect, but not enough. But it's kind of like, boy, if we had something just a little bit more powerful than Sherman tanks or whatever these are, whatever the Japanese version of tanks was at that time.
Well, when you consider it's not long after World War II, and exactly how much military does Japan have?
Yeah, true.
That's their 3 tanks, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, with the 3 tanks they had left over, and the U.S. took those away from them.
Yeah.
But then then it's like Godzilla 2023, and it's like they're firing Hellfire missiles at them, and those have a little bit of effect, but not quite enough. Boy, if we had something just a little bit more powerful than that, it's interesting.
I know what'll work: a robot.
Yeah, Mecha Godzilla. Oh, that guy's pissed or sad. Can't tell which. Fire. That probably worked. Well, I guess not. Now they're all surprised. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Wolverine, but with scales. Godzilla.
There you go.
All right.
This little $15 million Toho production is currently tied for rating on IMDb with an 8.5 against Oppenheimer. So you have, the guy that helped create the thing that created Godzilla in time, with the thing he created. I now I am become Godzilla.
Wait, are you saying like tell me the origin of this? Like I didn't know anything about this movie until
Mhm.
I think a William Wright actually said something about it on social media or somebody.
Mm,
It was him or
mhm,
somebody. And I had not heard of this movie. So
mm.
give me a little background on this.
Okay, well, basically, Toho, who were the guys that created Godzilla way back in the day in the 1950s, as a um, metaphor for the bomb
Hmm.
and its devastation on Japan, decided they were going to make a Godzilla movie. And basically, all the movies, the Godzilla Kong movies that are out now, those are great. And Shin Godzilla was not without his charm. But this is like, we want to go back to the basics of it all and like basically show people what we can do. And the fact that it was made for $15 million and was given a limited, I'll get back to the movie, was given a limited theater budget or theater run and is trouncing the box office because we're clamoring for this stuff. You know, Guys our age have waited forever to see a real Godzilla on the screen and by the company that made Godzilla in the first place. But the gist of it is Godzilla Minus One, because right now it takes place almost immediately after World War II. Japan's sitting at zero. you
So
know,
yeah. So just
so
to be
my go ahead.
as you're getting into it, I wanted to just make sure I understood what you just said about
Sure.
the movie. So this
Hmm.
is not part of the recent, like the
No,
2014 Godzilla or the
this
20
is its
any
own
of
thing.
those recent. This
Yeah,
is its own thing,
yeah,
made by the original studio that originally created Godzilla, not
yeah,
by whatever Disney bought or
yeah,
whatever. Okay,
yeah.
good.
Whoever,
I'm with you now
yeah,
because that's what I thought
right.
this was a continuation of the Godzilla franchise because I thought this
No,
Godzilla looked like those other Godzillas. But anyway, okay, so Godzilla minus one, Japan's at zero because they just got ground to powder by the
yeah,
Allies.
pretty much. And then as they're rebuilding and crawling out from the rubble, the result of that particular war, you know, decides, well, I don't like what you're doing here, and comes on comes on land and just starts destroying everything, because he's a creature of destruction. In this, a lot of people don't understand because over the years there's been so many different iterations of what Godzilla is, even in Toho, because Godzilla, the original, Gojira, started out as a horror movie. It is a horror monster movie. And if you watch it, the original in Japanese, not the one with Raymond Burr, the American version, which is still good, but if you watch the original Toho Gojira, um, and put yourself in the mindset of the mid 1950s, and you're the average Japanese moviegoer who just not even 10 years ago, you know, those memories are in your head about what happened. It was horrifying.
Yeah.
But the problem was the problem was it it did so well over here with the way they re-edited it and whatnot, that Toho was like, hey, you know what? Let's kind of nerf him a little bit and make him a little more likable. So sometimes in some movies he's the bad guy, in some movies he's the good guy. It just depends on who the bigger bad guy is. But
Mhm.
in this case, going back to formula with the original, he's the absolute bad guy. And he didn't he my takeaway is he didn't want to be created. He was probably some lizard sitting on a rock enjoying his life. And now he's, this.
Yeah.
Um, but the cool thing is there's so much about this movie to love. Um, a lot of I've seen criticism about it because the special effects aren't the greatest, But what a lot of people don't understand is what $15 million will buy you. And in Japan, this is what they want. They don't care about, they don't want Avengers Endgame. They want this. They don't want perfect CGI. They want this. So if you don't, if you can't get into that, then I don't know what to go watch the Godzilla X Kong or whatever it is that's coming out soon.
For a guy like me, and a lot of people
Mhm.
like me, like we didn't know about all that. Like this
Mhm.
Godzilla X Kong would come out, and we'd just assume it's part of the same deal, and we'd be like, "Well, Godzilla looks a
Yeah.
little different," you know.
Yeah. I mean,
But
that's part of the existing one that's been going on for a couple years now.
mhm.
And don't get me wrong, I 100% will have my ass in the seat when that hits the theaters. But to me, this is this is the best. This is the best Godzilla movie that has been made since the very first one, because it, like I keep saying it, it rolled back to formula. And one of the things that it did, and I was having this conversation with Toad the other day about it. We were getting ready to see it. Typically in Godzilla movies, there's two plots. There's the A plot and the B plot. The A plot is the human plot. The B plot is the Godzilla plot. And you have to wade through like 20 minutes of this human drama that you don't give two shits about. But as kids we watched it because we just sat there and waited, you know. This movie, what it did was it took the idea of, and I'm not going to spoil it too much because if you watch the trailer, you'll kind of figure it out. But this movie takes the idea of like survivor guilt, because the main character is uh he's a failed kamikaze pilot, and he's living with the knowledge that, you know, he chickened out, and he can't it's a got a lot of PTSD stuff in it, because he's like, you know, he has nightly nightmares of what the war was like for him, and he can't do anything right, and his family's destroyed, and the the elements for that plot alone, I love foreign films. I would have watched that if the entire movie was just this guy coming to terms with the things that happened during the war. I was 100% on board just to watch that.
Hmm.
But then you're going along, and there's a little bit of Godzilla here and there in the very beginning. But like you're going along and you're exploring this, like the anguish this guy's going through, and the found family that he's acquired, and building their lives. And then suddenly you just hear like bum, 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 and Godzilla just shows up and just starts wreaking havoc. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm in a Godzilla movie. It's like when in Scream, there's that part in the beginning, you know, with all the teenage kids and stuff, and then Drew Barrymore's hello, Sydney. And suddenly you see Drew Barrymore, you know, in a lawn chair out by the pool, just gutted, you know, stuff hanging out. And it had been so long since there was an actual slasher movie that you're just like, oh shit, we're watching a slasher movie. Well, that's what this was. And the unrelenting destruction that he wreaks upon Japan is just these poor guys. They built their world back up, and they're trying to, and he's just destroying it. And of course, you know, the Americans won't help them. The Japanese government won't help them. So the people are like, it's up to us now. We have to defend our country against this onslaught.
Hmm.
And in a lot of the ways that in the Shin Godzilla movie, which came out a number of years ago, and it's not bad. It's not my favorite, but that movie was basically a critique of bureaucracy, because the whole while the government's trying to figure out what to do, Godzilla is just destroying everything. Well, in this case, it's like uh and this oftentimes happens in war, and this is part of what made the human drama in this movie so good is like the humans realize we can't depend on our government, we can't depend on foreign aid. It's us. It's up to us, and it just makes the whole movie so realistic that and then Godzilla shows up. And then it's such a good movie. It's like I said, it's probably my favorite since the original.
Nice.
And that's not to put any shade on any of the other movies, because I love them all too. This one just took me out.
So you recommended?
I
2 thumbs up,
dude,
5 stars,
yeah,
10 stars, however many stars.
would recommend.
Yeah.
It was the thing is it only got a limited theatrical release. It was only like in a like just a couple thousand theaters in the States.
Mhm.
But it's doing so well that this is the funny part. The last day for it was originally going to be December 7th.
Mm.
Now, if you
So it's going to be
roll
out
back
for
in
a
time,
week.
yeah. But if you roll back in time a little bit, what happened
December
on
7th.
December 7th?
1941. A day that will live in infamy.
Right. Now I can't confirm nor deny that was the plan, but that's when it was supposed to end. But it's doing so well that they're extending the time in the theaters. So man, if you can grab one of your kids or something, and even if they don't know anything about Godzilla, this will tell them everything that they need to know about Godzilla.
I read that they were timing the release with the release of the Better Off Dad softcore history episodes on the War in the Pacific.
Okay, all right. Well, there is that. I wasn't going to touch on that because of modesty, but yeah, that's that one. I can confirm that because we both said it. So
You heard it here, folks. Grab your kids, drag them to the movies. They'll like this one.
yeah,
All right. There you have it.
Godzilla is back, and so is the Don't Panic radio show.
Perfectly said. I couldn't have thought of a better one myself. So yeah, keep listening. We're in the same feed as we were before.
Yep.
If you want to do the podcast version, if you want to watch the YouTube version, head over to Big Broccoli Studios on YouTube. How do you find it? Do you just search up Big Broccoli Studios? I think that's right.
You should be able to just type in Big Broccoli Studios or Don't Panic radio show.
So there's a couple things I learned today. One is never.
What did we learn, Charlie Brown?
You can never give up hope. It's like it's like, if you're a lobster on the Titanic and you're like, well, shit, I guess this is my life. I'm going to be boiled in a pot for some rich people sailing across the ocean. And then the next thing you know, the Titanic sinks and you're free. Once again, you're a free lobster. So like, just think
see ya.
Yeah.
Just kind of going through the water.
Like, so not all, some tragedies do have, there's always winners and losers, right?
Sure.
Also, those of you who thought the Don't Panic radio show would never come back, you were wrong. We proved you wrong. You're all wrong. We win. And then Godzilla comes back. It's just like these things come back. We said you can't go back to the past. Well, we're proving them wrong. We're going back to our past. Next week, we're going to have a kegger and we're going to drive our Camaro over to the high school and hang out in front of the high school.
All right.
For Godzilla and for Paul Schultz, I'm Steve Vinson. This has been the Don't Panic radio show, and nothing you just heard was true.
I've waited 4 years to hear you say that.
Oh, yeah.